Hi everyone, welcome back to TechCravers. So this is the MagicX Zero 40, a handheld that honestly came out of nowhere for me. It's small, it's vertical, and it's clearly made for a specific kind of gamer, and that intrigued me right away. Most handhelds these days are going for an all-in-one angle. Emulate everything, max out power, push performance, but this one, it's not trying to be your next PS2 machine, it's not pretending to be a Switch killer. What it is doing though is laser targeting fans of vertical arcade games and Nintendo DS, and doing it in a way that's super compact, super affordable, and kind of brilliant. I've been testing it over the past few days, unboxing it, playing everything from Don Don Patchy to Pokemon Black, and I've got quite a few thoughts. So with that said, let's jump into it. The MagicX Zero 40 comes from a brand called Ampown, and let's be honest, that's probably not a name most of you have heard before. They released a few devices before, like the Mini Zero 28, but they definitely not cracking out handhelds like Ambernick, Powkiddy or Retroid. Still, that doesn't mean they don't have interesting ideas, and the Zero 40 proves that. Now, the box itself is simple, clean lines, minimal branding, and honestly, I kind of like it. Inside we get the usual suspects. The handheld itself, a small user manual, and something I wasn't expecting, a little warranty and support card. That's not something you see very often with these lesser known brands, but hey, if they're willing to stand by their product, that's a good sign. You also get a USB-C charging cable, nothing else in terms of accessories, but honestly, at this price point, that's pretty standard. And speaking of the price, the MagicX Zero 40 comes in at just $75, and here's the kicker, it actually ships with a 64GB micro SD card packed with games. You can also opt for a 128GB version, which brings the total up to $83, not including tax and shipping. And I'm assuming the larger card comes with even more games preloaded. Now as always, I recommend using your own game dumps and a high quality micro SD card if you want the best experience long term. But for the purpose of this review, we're going to take a look at what you actually get straight out of the box. One interesting note, early units were advertised as coming with SanDisk card, but that's apparently being swapped out for Kioxia card moving forward. I got a Kioxia card in my unit, so I'm guessing the SanDisk stock is already gone. Just something to keep in mind if that sort of details matters to you. Now let's talk about the device itself. I got the black version here and I think it looks great. There's also a white version available and there's rumors of a transparent blue variant on the way, which if true could be fun nostalgia for some of you. But of course the most interesting thing here isn't the color, it's the shape. As you can see, the MagicX Zero 40 is a vertically oriented handheld, built specifically for arcade shooters, pinball games and most notably Nintendo DS. It's got a 4-inch IPS display with a 480 by 800 resolution. That portrait layout instantly sets it apart from most other handhelds in this price range, and is clearly designed to shine in very specific scenarios. The face buttons on the Zero 40 use rubber membrane design, and they're soft, super quiet, and actually really pleasant to press. Honestly, if you're someone who likes to game in bed without waking your partner, or maybe on a quiet train ride, this is kind of perfect. In fact, every button on the Zero 40, from the face buttons to the D-pad to the shoulder buttons, is among the quietest I have ever experienced on a handheld. It's seriously stealthy. The shoulder buttons are the clicky type and aligned in parallel with a slight texture finish on top. If you're into that grippy tactile feel, you'll appreciate the design. They're easy to reach and they don't wobble around or feel cheap. Up on the top edge of the device you got a headphone jack, though I'll be honest, I kinda wish they placed it at the bottom, it just feels a bit more natural when playing vertically. You'll also find two USB-C ports on top, one for charging and the other one for OTG accessories, which is a nice touch. Over on the left side you have a volume rocker, and on the right side there's a power and sleep button along with two micro SD card slots, which is great if you want to separate your ROM libraries or keep one for backups. And the D-pad, yeah, it's just as quiet as the rest of the buttons, which is great. That said, it's maybe not the most satisfying D-pad I've ever used, it's fine and it absolutely gets the job done for the kind of games you're likely playing on this thing, but it's not something you write home about. The analog stick is recessed deep into the body of the handheld, which I actually like from a portability standpoint. It doesn't snag or stick out, so sliding this into a pocket or small pouch is no problem at all. That said, I'll be honest, I barely use the joystick at all on my Zero 40. The games I play on this are mostly arcade style or D-pad driven, so the stick just sort of lives there. But hey, it's nice to have if you need it. But alright, let's go over the specs real quick. The MagicX Zero 40 runs full 64-bit Android, and it's Android 11, and that's actually important to note, because Android generally demands more resources than most lightweight Linux-based systems you often see on budget handhelds. Under the hood, it's powered by an all-winner A133P quad-core CPU and a PowerVR GE8300 GPU. Not flagship material, but more than enough for retro gaming of this caliber. And then there's the RAM, 2GB of DDR4. That might sound low at first, but honestly that's kind of impressive for a handheld in this price range. A lot of similar devices only come with 1GB, and that can make Android run like molasses. Then we got that 4-inch IPS screen with a resolution of 480x800, fully laminated, which gives you better clarity and contrast. Like I said earlier, it's a vertical screen perfect for arcade classics and DS games. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are here, the battery is 4300 mAh and Ampown claims 5 to 7 hours of playtime. And finally, microSD support up to 512GB plus stereo speakers and a vibration motor. Not bad at all. Now, earlier I mentioned the pocketability of the Zero 40, so let's take a moment to show you exactly what that means in real-world terms. Here it's side by side with a few other handhelds, so you get a better sense of the scale. First up, next to my Odin 2 Mini, which to be honest doesn't look very mini at all in comparison. The Zero 40 holds up surprisingly well. Next to the Anbernic RG34XX SP, a clamshell that's literally designed to be compact and travel friendly, the Zero 40 still looks nice and slim. That says something about it. And when compared with a new Nintendo 2DS XL, the Zero 40 definitely comes off as the smaller device, and especially once you open the 2DS. Though, of course, you do get way more screen real estate with the 2DS. Actually, now that I think of it, would you be interested in a dedicated 3DS style handheld built like the Zero 40? Let me know down in the comments if that's something you want to see. And lastly, here is it alongside my original Nintendo 2DS as well. Alright, let's talk about what this thing is really made for, because if you're into DS and vertical arcade games like I am, the MagicX Zero 40 is genuinely fun to use. I've spent hours playing through some of my absolute favorite DS titles, and honestly the experience is kind of great. The vertical screen layout is basically tailor-made for Nintendo DS, you got both screens on top of each other and they fit perfectly and everything just feels natural. Touch support of course works and buttons are snappy and quiet, and I've yet to run into any major issues when it comes to performance. And when we switch over to vertical arcade titles, especially older ones that were originally designed for a portrait layout, this device just makes them shine. And whether it's Donkey Kong, Pac-Man or something flashier like Dodonpachi, it all looks and feels just right here. The small screen that might seem a bit cramped in other contexts, here it feels absolutely at home. That said, it's not the perfect device. I definitely wouldn't have minded a slightly bigger and brighter screen. That becomes pretty obvious if you're gaming in a well-lit room, and while I understand the compact form factor, games with a lot of UI elements can feel a bit tight. But all things considered, the Zero 40 really nails what it set out to do. And beyond DS and vertical arcade stuff, it handles NES, SNES, Mega Drive and even some lighter PS1 titles without much trouble, if you're into that kind of thing. Still, this isn't meant to be a jack-of-all-trades emulator. It's a focused little retro machine and I kind of love that. So yeah, if you're into DS gaming or classic vertical arcade shooters, it's hard not to enjoy what the Zero 40 brings to the table. It's simple, compact, low profile and just genuinely fun. So yeah, that's my look at the MagicX Zero 40, a quirky little handheld that knows exactly what it wants to be. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments if this is something you'd play on or if you're holding out for something else. I read everything, and as always, happy gaming!